Bon appetit. Yeah, this is our last dinner together.
My ex-wife Melissa dropped the nuclear bomb while cutting her overcooked chicken dinner, not even bothering to make eye contact with me across our mahogany dining table. Amy's moving out to live with her biological father next month, she announced, with the casual indifference of someone commenting on tomorrow's weather forecast. The metallic clink of her fork against porcelain, the scraping sound of her knife cutting meat, and then that devastating sentence just slipped from her mouth with zero warning, consideration, or preparation. That statement hit me like a freight train loaded with 18 years of broken promises and taken for granted sacrifices, but I maintained my composure outwardly. I kept chewing the dry, poorly seasoned meat mechanically, while my brain operated 20 seconds behind reality, desperately trying to process and translate what I'd just heard into something that made logical sense within the context of our supposed family unit. After nearly 2 decades of being the primary financial provider, emotional supporter, homework helper, crisis manager, and reliable problem solver, I was being informed about this life-altering family decision like some distant relative receiving a courtesy notification about funeral arrangements. No discussion, no collaborative decision-making process, no consideration for my feelings, investment, or 18-year commitment to Amy's well-being and future success. I watched Melissa glance upward with that smugly patient expression she always wore when she believed she was handling delicate situations with masterful grace and diplomatic finesse. I'd witnessed that exact same condescending look when she informed me about refinancing our house exclusively in her name for administrative simplicity and streamlined paperwork. I'd seen it when she enrolled Amy in that expensive private preparatory school without consulting me about the substantial financial implications or discussing the decision beforehand. And here it was again, like a professional poker dealer sliding her final winning card across green, felt with confident superiority and complete control over the game. She says it'll be significantly better for her senior year academic experience, Melissa continued in that maddeningly casual tone that made my spine crawl with irritation and disbelief. Derek's got considerably more living space now in his new place, and they're really developing a strong father-daughter emotional bond. It's probably the perfect timing for this major life transition and family restructuring. Bonding. That's the sanitized terminology we were using now to describe this calculated betrayal and abandonment. After 18 solid years of me personally paying every single tuition installment, orthodontist appointment, summer enrichment camp fee, competitive swim meet entry cost, private tutoring session, and academic support expense without complaint or recognition. After countless early morning drives through traffic to weekend competitions where I sat on freezing metal bleachers with completely numb thighs and fake enthusiastic smiles, clapping like a trained circus seal for someone who wasn't technically my biological daughter, just the person whose entire lifestyle I funded month after month without appreciation or acknowledgement. After spending entire weekends helping her perfect college application essays until well past midnight, meticulously proofreading every paragraph and offering constructive feedback, watching my personal bank account drain with mortgage payment-sized monthly bills, while consistently hearing her introduce me to school friends as just Mark, rather than acknowledging any parental relationship, or the massive financial sacrifices I'd made for her educational opportunities and future success. I nodded exactly once. That represented my complete visible reaction to her earth-shattering announcement that would fundamentally restructure our family dynamics. I didn't ask detailed follow-up questions about timing, logistics, or implementation plans. I didn't express hurt feelings, voice objections, or demand explanations for this sudden change in living arrangements. I simply nodded with apparent calm acceptance and returned my focused attention to the improperly seasoned chicken breast on my plate, mentally noting that she'd used the wrong type of salt again, despite my specific requests over recent months. Then came the second devastating dagger, delivered with identical casual brutality and stunning audacity. You'll continue covering all her major expenses, though, right? Just for financial continuity and administrative stability during this transition period. Like I represented some monthly subscription service they'd forgotten to cancel in their comprehensive billing management system. Like my fundamental role in their comfortable daily lives featured an automatic renewal checkbox they'd simply overlooked during their secret transition planning sessions. Of course, she added quickly with false reassurance, apparently mistaking my stunned silence for hesitation, resistance, or potential objection to their predetermined arrangement. We've carefully structured our entire household budget and lifestyle expectations around your consistent financial contributions over all these years. It would create complete administrative chaos and financial disruption if that reliable funding stream suddenly stopped flowing now during this delicate transition period. That's the precise moment when reality crystallized in my mind with perfect, devastating clarity about what was actually happening here. This wasn't a collaborative family discussion, democratic decision-making process, or respectful consultation involving all affected parties and stakeholders. This was essentially a corporate press release announcing predetermined changes that had been finalized through secret negotiations and private planning sessions that deliberately excluded my input, concerns, or preferences. Melissa wasn't informing me out of basic respect, consideration, courtesy, or acknowledgement of my 18-year investment in Amy's life and future. She was efficiently setting expectations, managing potential resistance, and controlling the narrative to minimize disruption to their newly restructured family dynamic while ensuring continued access to my financial resources. The fundamental decision had been completely finalized weeks ago, possibly even months ago, through secret conversations, private planning sessions, confidential arrangements, and behind-the-scenes negotiations that I'd been systematically excluded from, despite being the primary financial stakeholder in this situation. I was simply the last person to receive official notification of major changes affecting my daily life, financial obligations, and emotional investments, like a dedicated company employee learning about departmental restructuring, budget cuts, and personnel changes through an impersonal company-wide email announcement after all the important decisions had already been made by management. I finished my red wine with deliberate, calm, and controlled movements, cleared my dinner plate without unnecessary hurry or dramatic gestures, placed it carefully in the stainless steel dishwasher with my usual methodical precision and attention to detail, and wiped down the granite counter surface using the hanging dish towel exactly as I did every evening as part of our established household routine. Melissa remained comfortably seated at our expensive mahogany dining table, casually scrolling through her smartphone screen like she was checking sports scores, weather updates, social media feeds, or online shopping deals, completely oblivious and indifferent to the seismic psychological shift occurring in the man standing just 10 feet away from her relaxed position. I studied her carefully for several long, contemplative minutes, really observing and analyzing her completely relaxed body posture, casual facial expression, and the total absence of regret, concern, guilt, or acknowledgement in her overall demeanor and behavior patterns. Then I did something that surprised even me with its sudden clarity, decisive purpose, and immediate sense of righteous liberation. I walked directly into our spacious master bedroom, opened the organized walk-in closet, and pulled down the gray Samsonite suitcase I hadn't touched or needed since my last mandatory business conference approximately 6 months earlier. The luggage still carried faint aromatic traces of stale hotel carpet, industrial dry cleaning chemicals, and corporate travel experiences from my professional responsibilities. I packed only absolute necessities with careful selection and deliberate choices. 3 clean dress shirts suitable for professional settings, 1 pair of comfortable jeans for casual wear, my reliable laptop computer with charging cables for remote work capabilities, and my current passport for identification purposes and potential travel opportunities. I deliberately left behind the expensive dress socks and silk neckties I never enjoyed wearing but purchased to meet professional expectations, abandoned the costly running shoes that had been gathering dust for months despite my good intentions about exercise, and completely ignored the engraved silver cufflinks Melissa had presented to me as a meaningful gift for our 5th wedding anniversary, with both our initials elegantly intertwined in decorative cursive script. I intentionally left behind everything that might create confusion, send mixed messages, or suggest any possibility of return or reconciliation regarding the clear message I was preparing to communicate through decisive actions rather than emotional words or lengthy explanations. Next, I returned to the kitchen area, extracted my complete keyring from my pants pocket, and carefully removed the house key with deliberate precision and symbolic significance. I placed it quietly on the granite counter surface directly next to the decorative wooden fruit bowl containing a single overripe peach that was already showing brown spots of natural decay, deterioration, and the inevitable passage of time. Melissa looked up from her glowing phone screen when I retrieved my leather jacket from the organized hallway closet. "Where exactly are you going at this late evening hour?" she inquired with mild curiosity rather than genuine concern, interest, or emotional investment in my answer. I didn't provide any explanation, timeline information, destination details, or estimated return schedule. Her eyes narrowed slightly with growing irritation as she processed my unusual behavioral pattern and apparent noncompliance with her expectations for normal response and discussion. "Mark, what's with all this unnecessary dramatic nonsense and theatrical behavior?" she demanded with increasing annoyance and impatience. I almost laughed out loud at the crushing irony and stunning lack of self-awareness in her accusation. Almost. Instead, I offered her a smile that contained no sarcasm, hidden meaning, cruel intentions, or emotional content whatsoever. Just complete emptiness and psychological disconnection. Then I opened the front door with calm determination and stepped out into the cool evening air, immediately feeling an enormous psychological weight lift from my shoulders, the precise moment that door clicked shut behind me with absolute finality. It didn't feel like grief, loss, abandonment, or emotional devastation. It felt like complete liberation and freedom from a thankless role. I'd never been genuinely valued, appreciated, or respected, and despite years of dedicated performance, personal sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to their comfort and security. I drove through winding mountain roads for over 3 continuous hours until I reached a remote cabin I'd quickly located and reserved online during my brief bathroom break, immediately following our dinner conversation. The rustic property was completely buried among towering pine trees, accessible only by crossing a narrow wooden bridge that groaned and creaked ominously under even a compact car's modest weight. A faded wooden sign at the entrance read, "Pine Ridge Retreat," though there hadn't been any recreational visitors, weekend tourists, or vacation guests since dial-up internet represented cutting-edge technology, and most people still used landline phones for long-distance communication. The timing was absolutely perfect for my specific purposes. Completely off-season with no screaming children playing by the lake, no jet skis disrupting the natural silence, no weekend warriors blasting loud music from portable speakers, no social interactions or distractions that might interfere with the systematic work I needed to accomplish. Just wild squirrels, morning fog, occasional bird calls, and a barely functional kerosene heater that made soft ticking sounds whenever it exhaled warmth into the small interior space during the cool mountain evenings. I didn't bother unpacking my minimal luggage or attempting to light a cozy fire in the stone fireplace for comfort or ambiance. Instead, I immediately retrieved my laptop computer from its protective carrying case, established a connection to the cabin's barely adequate Wi-Fi network, and began the systematic, methodical process of comprehensive financial disconnection from their daily lives and future security. My first strategic target was the university billing system that had been automatically charging my personal credit cards for years, without question, appreciation, or acknowledgement of the substantial financial burden. I typed slowly and deliberately, not from hesitation, second thoughts, or emotional uncertainty, but from deep respect for the magnitude and permanent consequences of what I was systematically ending forever. The website's loading circle spun endlessly, like it somehow understood something significant and irreversible was concluding permanently. When the page finally loaded completely, there it was displayed in stark black text against a white background. My Visa credit card ending in 7,362, prominently listed under primary billing source, in bold letters that seemed to mock my years of unquestioned financial commitment and reliable support. I stared at those 4 identifying digits like they had personally betrayed my trust, loyalty, and 18-year dedication to Amy's educational success and future opportunities. That specific card had been linked to Amy's university account since freshman orientation day 3 years ago, when she was excited about college life and future possibilities. I clearly remembered entering the detailed payment information the first time after she called me crying about housing portal technical glitches that supposedly threatened her preferred dormitory assignment and carefully planned roommate selection process. I remembered thinking at that specific moment, this was exactly what responsible, caring stepfathers do during family crises and emergency situations. You step in immediately without hesitation and solve problems quietly, efficiently, and reliably, without seeking recognition, gratitude, or public acknowledgement of your sacrifices and contributions. I clicked Remove Payment Method with firm resolve and watched 18 years of unwavering financial commitment, dedication, and support vanish instantly from the computer system. No confirmation email appeared in my inbox, no "Thank you for your years of dedicated service and financial support" message popped up on the screen. Just a blank digital space where my reliable automatic support used to flow seamlessly month after month without interruption or complaint. My next strategic challenge involved health insurance management through my employer's comprehensive benefits portal system. Amy was officially listed as a dependent under the expensive family medical plan I'd maintained and personally funded, even after Melissa quit her well-paying corporate position to be more present for personal growth, spiritual development, and self-discovery activities that contributed nothing to our household income or financial stability. I navigated through the familiar HR portal system exactly like I'd done dozens of times during annual open enrollment periods, clicking through multiple tabs and menu options until I located Amy's detailed personal information in the dependent management section of the interface. There it was clearly displayed in the system with complete accuracy. Amy Rose Patterson, date of birth, September 3rd, 2005. Coverage status, active relationship classification, stepdaughter, premium. Cost, $347 monthly. I positioned my cursor directly over the Remove Dependent button and held it there for several long minutes of careful consideration, not from guilt, second thoughts, or emotional hesitation about the consequences, but from precision and deliberate contemplation of the permanent, irreversible implications of this decisive action. This wasn't emotional rage, vindictive anger, or impulsive retaliation driving my systematic actions. Rage burns hot and extinguishes quickly like flash paper in a magic show. This represented something much colder, quieter, more calculated, and completely permanent in its implementation and long-term consequences. I pressed the button with firm conviction and watched the confirmation dialog box appear immediately on screen. "Are you absolutely certain you want to remove this dependent from medical coverage?" I selected yes, without any hesitation or doubt, and observed the small processing wheel spin through its programmed cycle. Within seconds, Amy's name disappeared completely from my insurance coverage. No more deductible payments automatically charged to my personal account. No more copay responsibilities for routine medical visits. No more prescription costs. No more emergency room bills automatically routed to my credit card without consultation or advance notice. The $529 college education fund required significantly more complex navigation due to multi-factor authentication security measures, phone verification codes, identity confirmation protocols, and banking security procedures designed to prevent unauthorized access and protect substantial financial assets. But when I finally gained complete access to the account after jumping through all the security hoops, the numbers sat there like obedient soldiers awaiting final commands. $31,847.22 remaining balance available for distribution. Not an enormous sum by private university standards, but certainly sufficient for next semester's tuition costs and possibly partial spring term expenses if managed carefully and allocated efficiently. I initiated a complete fund distribution with destination account set to my personal brokerage account under a trust name with contact address pointing to an old post office box I'd maintained for years but never bothered closing after a previous address change. The entire $529 education account drained completely in under 90 seconds of processing time, transformed into just a simple line item. Transfer on some administrator's digital spreadsheet somewhere in the vast financial system. Amy would never even discover it was gone, missing, or unavailable until she desperately needed those specific funds for continued education expenses and future academic plans. But my systematic work was far from complete or finished. I opened a comprehensive text document I'd been quietly maintaining for several months without consciously planning for this exact moment or specific application. Nothing dramatic, threatening, or vindictive in content, just a detailed, organized list of every login credential, payment portal access information, and subscription service tied directly to either Melissa or Amy's daily convenience, comfort, and lifestyle maintenance. iCloud Family Account Sharing Plan. Removed Amy's device access completely and permanently. Spotify Premium Family Subscription Service. Canceled the entire account immediately without advance notice. Grocery store loyalty card linked to my phone number for discount verification and special offers. Account permanently closed and benefits terminated. Netflix Family Streaming Plan with multiple user profiles. Dependent access completely revoked. Amazon Prime delivery benefits and shopping privileges. Family members removed from account entirely. Car insurance policy covering Amy's vehicle. Primary policyholder officially withdrawn from all coverage and liability. I methodically severed each digital connection with surgical precision, careful attention to detail, and complete thoroughness. No warning messages sent to affected parties, no dramatic social media announcements posted for public consumption, no vindictive doors slammed with emotional flair or theatrical gestures. There was no emotional monologue, lengthy explanation, or vindictive farewell message. Just comprehensive, systematic silence that makes people squint suspiciously at monthly bank statements and wonder if computer errors, technical glitches, or billing mistakes represent temporary problems that will resolve automatically or permanent changes that require immediate attention and action. I closed the laptop computer and stepped outside into the pine-scented mountain air that carried the clean smell of approaching weather changes and natural wilderness. Despite not smoking cigarettes for over 3 years of healthy living, I lit one from an old pack I'd discovered in the glove compartment and watched the smoke drift sideways through the tree branches while contemplating the full implications and long-term consequences of my methodical, systematic actions. I wasn't ghosting them financially out of cruelty, revenge, spite, or vindictive satisfaction. I was doing it out of absolute necessity for my own psychological survival, self-respect, and emotional well-being. They had always systematically mistaken my reliable support for automatic obedience, my generous contributions for weakness and exploitability, my consistent presence for guaranteed permanence and unconditional availability. Time had finally arrived for them to discover the crucial difference between those concepts through direct personal experience, rather than abstract discussion or theoretical consideration. Meanwhile, back at the house I'd permanently abandoned without explanation or forwarding address, Melissa was enthusiastically entertaining her sister Patricia in the kitchen, pouring expensive wine into those ridiculously oversized glasses she'd purchased on clearance at discount home goods stores, tossing her hair like she was 25 again, instead of approaching 50 with visible signs of aging. She was laughing with obvious amusement and sisterly solidarity about my wounded puppy departure and apparently pathetic behavior. Patricia, the one with 4 failed marriages, 3 restraining orders, and a live laugh love tattoo across her shoulder blade, snorted wine into her glass with genuine entertainment and cruel satisfaction. He left like a pathetic little man who finally realized he couldn't win this particular game or maintain control, Patricia observed with harsh accuracy that made them both laugh even harder with mean-spirited enjoyment. The cruel laughter bubbled up naturally at first, then became fuller, more confident, and increasingly vindictive as they systematically convinced themselves that the difficult part of this family transition was completely finished and behind them without complications or consequences. My name didn't surface again in their celebratory conversation, just dismissive pronouns like he and him, like I'd already been reduced to an insignificant footnote in their exciting fresh start narrative and future planning. He'll definitely keep paying all the bills without question, Patricia declared with absolute certainty based on 18 years of observed behavioral patterns and past performance. He always does exactly what's expected without complaint. That's what men like him are specifically designed for: stability, predictability, reliability, financial support. They don't slam doors dramatically, don't take children away vindictively, don't change locks spitefully, don't drain bank accounts maliciously. They just keep showing up month after month with checks and apologetic smiles. That represented the version of me they'd carefully constructed and maintained in their minds over 18 years of relationship dynamics, family interactions, and financial dependence. That was the version they'd built their entire comfortable lifestyle around and counted on maintaining indefinitely, without question, appreciation, or acknowledgement. Amy participated enthusiastically in this celebratory performance too, posting a carefully staged Instagram photograph the next morning featuring her and Derek, her biological father, holding up a brass house key between them like they just closed on their dream property purchase and achieved some major life milestone. The caption read, "New beginnings with my real dad. Old key unlocking new hearts and authentic family connections," followed by multiple heart emojis, celebration symbols, and inspiring hashtags about authentic family bonds, personal growth, and genuine relationships. Derek appeared sunburned and overdressed in a polo shirt he probably hadn't unbuttoned since 2015, trying desperately hard to project successful father energy, masculine competence, and financial stability he clearly didn't possess. Amy wore those expensive leather boots I'd specifically purchased for her as a special Christmas gift after she'd seen them featured in a fashion magazine, and specifically requested them as her primary holiday present. Her smile looked genuinely happy, excited, and optimistic about future possibilities. I'll acknowledge that much about the carefully curated photograph. Happy, optimistic, grateful, and completely oblivious to the harsh financial reality that was about to crash down around them like a house of cards in a Category 5 hurricane. What the carefully staged photograph didn't reveal was the unopened tuition invoice still sitting untouched on the kitchen table back at home. The thick manila envelope with official return address from University Billing Office, clearly marked time-sensitive, immediate payment required, in red stamped letters that demanded urgent attention. The bill had arrived 4 days earlier through certified mail requiring signature confirmation. Amy had definitely noticed it sitting there prominently, picked it up multiple times with curiosity, probably shaken it wondering if there was a check, refund, or scholarship notification inside, but she hadn't bothered opening it because why would she need to worry about such mundane administrative details when her life was going so perfectly according to plan? In her mind, the next exciting chapter had already begun beautifully and successfully. She had her authentic biological father now, the guy who used to send generic Facebook birthday messages and talked enthusiastically about starting a podcast about authentic masculinity, modern fatherhood, and building genuine relationships with children. The man who didn't actually know her current grade point average, her chosen major field of study, her career aspirations, her closest friends' names, or how many dental cavities she'd developed over the years of my complete financial responsibility for her comprehensive healthcare coverage and medical expenses. But he had a house key for photo opportunities, and a front porch for social media staging, and apparently those symbolic gestures were completely sufficient for her emotional needs, social validation, and public presentation of family success. The smugness and overconfidence proved highly contagious throughout their extended social circle and family network. Melissa posted her own version of the narrative transformation the following day, one of those vague inspirational quotes about chapters closing and new ones opening, overlaid on a blurry sunrise photograph taken from their backyard deck with amateur photography skills and poor lighting techniques. The lengthy caption contained multiple paragraphs about healing processes, trusting universal energy flows, releasing toxic people, and eliminating individuals whose vibrations no longer aligned with authentic personal growth, spiritual development, and positive life changes. Apparently, my entire existence, contribution, and 18-year commitment had been officially declared toxic energy that needed immediate releasing for their higher good and spiritual advancement. None of them noticed what was systematically disappearing from their daily infrastructure and convenience systems like slowly dissolving foundation blocks. The car insurance auto payment had quietly bounced due to credit card declination, but Amy hadn't checked the mobile app yet, probably assuming it represented a temporary technical glitch that would resolve automatically without requiring her attention or intervention. The shared Netflix account had logged everyone out with payment failure notifications, but they casually assumed it represented routine system maintenance or temporary server issues. Their grocery delivery service had sent multiple email alerts about declined payment methods and account suspension, but the messages had been automatically filtered to spam folders and ignored. The first university tuition deadline had passed without payment confirmation or acknowledgement. But they didn't investigate the implications or potential consequences because I had always handled such mundane administrative details automatically and reliably. I always showed up without fail and solved problems quietly and efficiently. I never disappeared, abandoned responsibilities, or created complications. So they laughed heartily, drank expensive celebratory wine, and toasted their exciting new beginning chapter with confidence and optimism, completely unaware that every single financial wire supporting their comfortable lifestyle had already been surgically severed with precision and permanent effect. They still believed I was the wounded puppy Patricia had mockingly described with such cruel accuracy. But wounded puppies don't walk away carrying all the important legal paperwork, financial access codes, and account control, and wolves don't announce their departures by barking warnings to alert their prey. When the consequences finally hit with full force, it wasn't gradual or gentle. Amy's phone displayed urgent notifications Tuesday morning, university threats about suspended aid, car repossession on Friday, and Derek's complete disappearance when actual bills arrived demanding immediate payment. The final devastating conference call with Dean Richardson, when I calmly stated I'm not her father and hung up, left them sitting in complete ruins of their own making. The story leaked online and went viral, making Amy a campus cautionary tale while I found peace in a coastal cottage, working remotely and fishing on weekends. They ended up living with Patricia, working retail jobs, while Amy transferred to community college. I learned that respect isn't earned through generosity alone. Sometimes it requires the courage to walk away completely. The silence became my loudest statement ever made.